and the people who are making news, like United States Congressman Mark Schauer, the Democrat from the Jackson, Battle Creek, and South Lansing area. Good morning to you.
Good morning, MPS.
So you're hanging around with President Clinton yesterday in Battle Creek at night. How did that go?
It was great. It was we could have packed a venue twice as big as what we had at Kellogg Community College. It was exciting. I don't think there's anybody better than Bill Clinton in sort of laying things out in a very matter-of-fact way, and that's what he did yesterday, talking about what we need to rebuild our economy and what the choice is in 8 days.
He still draws a crowd, doesn't he?
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. And it's not just Democrats that like Bill Clinton. I mean, there are a lot of Republicans and independents that remember the economy, 8 years of job creation under his administration, the surplus he left to President Bush. So he is a very popular figure. It was great to have him in my hometown in the Cereal City, and we had people from all over my district there, and they are motivated to get out and vote and motivated to get out and work these last 8 days.
That's kind of what he talked about, wasn't it? That if you're going to make this happen, you got to go right down to the wire. You got to. So he sort of energizes the base, eh?
He does, but he part of his message. It was interesting. I think it was because we were at a community college. He talked about things that I've done and the Congress has done to help make college more affordable, to lower the cost of student loans. And one of the things he said, he challenged the crowd, especially young people, to activate their social networks, Facebook, Twitter, everything, to make sure young people get out and vote. They voted in record numbers 2 years ago, and he was just reminding people that they've got the power to decide this election.
Did he sort of localize his talk at all with any Michigan references or Battle Creek references?
He did. He talked about the auto industry quite a bit, and I think the number used 63,000 automotive jobs gained in Michigan over the last couple of years. He talked about renewable energy technology, which has been a big thing in Michigan, and a clean energy economy that we can create here if we have the will to do that. So, he's fond of Battle Creek. He was with me 14 years ago when I upset the Republican incumbent to win my state House seat. So he was very fond of the Cereal City.
And did you spend any moments? I mean, I know he whistle stops through pretty much, but does he speak to you personally at all for a few minutes?
Yes, both just before the rally and then afterwards. He's really focused on making college more affordable and more accessible. Here is a statistic, MPS, that the United States is still number one in the world among young people going to college. We're number 9 in the world among the number of those young people actually finishing college. So, he recognizes that young people are drowning in student loan debt, that it is, prices is getting beyond what young people can afford. So he talked to me about a strategy and complimented me on I had an amendment on a bill that caps at 10% of a person's income how much they will have to repay in their student loans, something that actually will help avoid young people dropping out of college because of fear of not being able to repay student loans.
You think that's why people stop going? They start and can't finish because they have financial issues?
I think that's a primary issue.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or is it that maybe some people are going to college who aren't suited for it?
No, because the statistic has dropped. We used to be also first in the number of young people actually finishing college. So something has changed. And I read in the Free Press a few months ago, MPS, that student loan debt in America has eclipsed credit card debt. So it is a reality, and it's something that this Congress has helped change by increasing the value of Pell Grants, reducing the cost of student loans. We just have to keep at it.
Of course, if they can't find jobs when they get out, how are they going to repay the student loans? That's a fundamental question too, really, isn't it?
Oh, sure. But the two go hand in hand. I mean, the smartest states and the smartest countries and the smartest communities are the ones that win, win by creating the innovators that develop new technology, by attracting the high-tech businesses, the new economy businesses. So unless you've got the workforce, you're not going to attract them. And the jobs that are being created, the skill requirements are higher. That's why community colleges are so important, and skilled trades training programs are so important. And it isn't always MPS, a 4-year degree. Often it is, but it's folks that have the technical skills that are able to plug into the new jobs that are being created.
There are people, well, this happens every election when people start to carp and complain about the commercials and they say they're negative and that sort of thing. But there are some groups like the Michigan Truth Squad and the Nonpartisan Center for Michigan who take a look at the ads and look at the races. And your race against Tim Walberg was picked as really the most negative in terms of the debates and the commercials, and it's a dead heat last I heard, or a slight lead one way or another. Why do you think your race is so contentious?
Well, we've got a lead in the polls, and part of it is, ads are a part of a campaign. They point out the contrast. They point out the choice. And in this race, the choice couldn't be any clearer. And in my ads, for the most part, it's Tim Walberg's own words, things he's said about supporting privatizing Social Security, or that outsourcing has been good for our economy. The other thing, MPS, this congressional race may be the most expensive in the country, right here in little old South Central Michigan.
Yep.
And part of that is because of these anonymous shadow groups that are coming in, because of the Supreme Court decision. They're dumping, probably by the time it's all said and done, $3 or $4 million in attack ads. They're all attacking me. Some of them saying things like the new health care law will provide health care to illegal aliens. That's been proven not true, or that the health care law cuts Medicare. The Adrian Daily Telegram, Tim Walberg's hometown newspaper, said that was dishonest. So a lot of it is this outside, unreported money that is just changing the landscape in politics. I think it's really bad. It's got to be dealt with.
How will you spend the last 8 days now until the general election?
Well, tonight I have final debate with Tim Walberg.
I bet you're looking forward to that, huh?
Oh yeah, I think it's good. I mean, there's a lot of passion here because and I know Tim Walberg does too. I care very deeply about the future of our state, and I'm fighting for it. And so we've got one more joint appearance, and then it's really just get out the vote. Last week I was at the Lansing Delta Township Assembly Plant greeting workers at shift change. I'll be doing a lot of that. I will be contacting voters in as many ways as possible, and not getting a lot of sleep. But this is a fun part in a campaign.
What is that like? Because from my understanding, the debates that you've had with Tim Walberg have been, really contentious. There's been a lot of sniping back and forth, arguing. Sometimes one of the news services described you two as kind of shouting over each other. When we talked to Tim Walberg, he said that's not what happened. But in any case, what's it like when somebody, takes a shot at you in a debate, and then when it's over, the two combatants stand in the middle and shake hands? What do you say to each other?
Well, a lot of times when, Tim Walberg is saying things, I if he's trying to talk over me or interrupt me, I just kind of try to ignore it and just kind of stay focused. And, it is heated. There is passion because there are very different views. I mean, what I've pointed out in these debates is, to help people understand is, for example, on the rescuing the auto companies, every Republican from Michigan voted for it, and Tim Walberg said he was against it. On this China currency manipulation bill, where every Republican from Michigan supported getting tough on China, Tim Walberg said he opposed it. So I'm just trying to point out that there's, people may not agree with me on everything, but I'm got my sleeves rolled up. I'm working hard with businesses and local economic development groups to try to help companies create jobs. And so there are big, big, big differences. But afterwards, we shake hands. Beforehand, we shake hands, and we're both, fighting for what we believe in.
It's funny you should say that about the auto industry, because I'm looking at a story in this morning's Free Press that says a wave of profits are expected this week from car makers and suppliers, including Chrysler and General Motors and some of the people like Lear, American Axle, those companies
Right.
that depend on them.
Well, Tim Walberg wants everyone to believe that the economic meltdown, was caused by me, that the tough times we have, I was personally responsible for. Well, when I took the oath of office in January of '09, we were in a free fall, and the auto industry was, on the verge of outright liquidation. It is getting better, and a lot of those things have to do with policies that I've voted for, whether it's cash for clunkers or some retooling support for the auto industry. Ironically, the day of our WILX Channel 10 debate last week, General Motors announced putting $37 million into the Lansing Delta Township Assembly Plant. So these jobs matter for us in Michigan, and that's why trade policies that give us a chance to compete matter. Tim Walberg has a very different view.
Well, we'll talk to you again before the election.
I hope so, MPS.
Thanks a bunch,
care.
and I hope you had a good time with President Clinton yesterday. It sounds like you and a bunch of people did there, and we sure appreciate it. 35 after the hour. It's Monday morning.